What's up, guys? It's your bro, Richie here. Today's video is now, uh, today's video is now another extended video of the previous Pontiac Firebird, not Firebird. Is it Firebird? Yeah, Firebird video. And today in this video, I'm now on the next part, which is 1979. So this is an extended video of the previous Firebird video. Today I'm continuing on from where I left off. So I only got a few pieces left, but I'll see how much I can complete. So, before I start, make sure you guys all like the video, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. hit the notification bell, and hit all so later when I make brand new uploads. Alright, so so without any further ado, let's begin. So next part, 1979. Here we go. The body's completely restyled. So it's completely restyled for 1979, featuring a new aerodynamic front end, revised rear end spoiler or wing, larger flares for the Trans Am, and a revised connected single taillight assembly design that would remain consistent for the rest of the Firebird's design. The grills had been repositioned to the lower section of the front bumper to allow more cold air to travel, like to flow directly to the lower part of both the radiator and engine bay. The interior remained mostly unchanged, so mostly the same from the previous model year, 1978. However, the deluxe cloth interior had now changed from velour to a hobnail pattern. The hood decal from both the Y88 SE and Solar Gold cars from 1978 became the standard design across the entire Trans Am line. So across the entire Trans Am line, and now came in a variety of colors. So a variety of different colors. The formula steering wheel that was optional in the lower models and standard in the Trans Am now came color coded to the interior, so it matches the same color as the interior. For 1979, the end of the 70s, there are three possible motor options. The 6.6 liter the 6.6 liter 400 L80 Oldsmobile. So the 6.6 liter 403, sorry, not 400 but 403, the 6.6 liter 403 L80 Oldsmobile. So the 6.6 liter L80 also built 403 V8 motor V 403 V8 motor became the standard option and was only available with the three-speed turbo Hydra 350 automatic. So with the three-speed turbo Hydra 350 with the three-speed turbo Hydra 350 automatic. So turbo Hydra 350 automatic. The 6.6 liter the 6.6 liter W72 Pontiac 400 Pontiac 400 V8 was available for a short period of time and in limited supply only. This was the final line. This was the last of the line for the Pontiac large displacement V8s. So Pontiac large displacement V8s. And only available with the 4-speed Borg Warner Super T10 manual. So Super T10 manual. While also requiring the WS6. Excuse me. While requiring the WS6 handling pack as mandatory equipment. In conjunction with this driveline choice, a credit option was available, being the smaller displacement of 4.9 liter 301 Pontiac L37 V8, and it could be equipped with either the 4-speed Super T10 manual or the 3-speed Turbo Hydra 350 automatic. The formula received some revisions for the 79. The formula received some revisions for the 79 model year. 79 model year were the two-tone W50 colored stripe decal now became the standard look for the formula. However, the W50 pack still available, and it added the formula lettering along the bottom of both the doors and rear deck spoiler. Doors and rear deck spoiler. The WS6 pack had now been renamed for the Trans Am Mark IV special handling pack to the special handling pack, and it's now available for the Firebird formula. The dashboard bezel now wore the same machined swirl aluminum bezel as the Trans Am, as the Pontiac 4.9 liter 301, as the 4.9 liter Pontiac 301 V8 had now ramped up production as the 6.6 liter Pontiac 400 V8 production has ceased. It became the standard motor for the formula due to significant popularity and demand. For the option to receive four-wheel brake rotors in the WS6 handling pack. Some WS6 equipped cars were shipped without the option of rear brake rotors. And that's a bit dangerous. I mean, like, ordering it without rear brakes, that's suicide. Like, I mean, who's gonna drive cars without rear brakes? I mean, you would not have any braking. I mean, you would, but only from the front brakes, and it's just not enough. You're gonna need rear brakes as well to stop a lot better. Who's gonna get cars without rear brakes? I mean, who the heck would even do that? I wouldn't personally. Hell no, no way. I would not even do that. What were Pontiac even thinking of that? I'd say keep the rear brakes on at Pontiac if I were you. I'm just saying it's a little bit dangerous. If not a little bit, then a lot. Anyways, moving on. Some WS6 equipped cars were shipped without the option of rear brake rotors, and were instead coded WS7, but still received all other equipment included in the WS6 pack. A limited edition Firebird to commemorate the 10th anniversary. A limited edition Firebird to commemorate the 10th anniversary. Sorry, the 10th anniversary. 10th anniversary of the 69 Firebird Trans Am was produced for the 79 model year. It featured many of these components and pieces, such as it featured platinum silver paint, platinum silver paint with charcoal gray upper paint accents, mirrored T-top, 15 by 8 inch turbo wheels, a special interior featuring silver leather seats with custom embroidered Firebird emblems, and aircraft inspired red lighting for the gauges. Colloquially known as the Tata, which is short for 10th anniversary Trans Am, so TATA. It featured every single available production option on a Firebird. However, cruise control was not compatible, unfortunately, with the manual, resulting in the option being credited on the window sticker for the 4-speed equipped 10th anniversary Trans Ams. The 10th anniversary Trans Am also featured special 10th anniversary decals, including a Firebird hood decal, that extended off of the hood or bonnet and onto the front fenders. I wonder what that was. It was a Celestino water. No wonder why it feels like that. It's because this is a sparkling water. Basically, they added carbon dioxide to this. That was weird, but oh well. So the 10th anniversary Trans Am also featured special 10th anniversary decals, including a Firebird hood decal that extended off of the hood and onto the front fenders. Pontiac produced 7,500, so 7,500 Y89 TATAs, RPO Y89, of which 1,817 1817 were equipped with the Pontiac TA 6.6 liter, um, 6.6 liter, W72, W72, um, 400 V8 and a four-speed manual. The remainder all featured the 6.6 liter L80 Autobill 403 V8 and a three-speed automatic. Two 10th anniversary Trans Ams were the actual pace cars, pace cars for the 1979 Daytona 500 in Daytona, Florida, presumably around Florida. So Florida, which had been dubbed the race that made NASCAR. That's right, the race that made NASCAR. Car and Driver magazine named the Trans Am equipped with the WS6 special performance pack, the best handling, the best handling car of 1979. During period dyno testing, the NHRA, National Hot Rod Association, rated the TA 6.6 W72 6.6 liter Pontiac 400 V8, so 6.6 liter Pontiac 400 V8 at 280 net horsepower, which was significantly higher than Pontiac's conservative rating of 220 horsepower. In 1979, Pontiac sold 116,500 116,535 116,535 Trans Ams, the highest sold in any Firebird model year. Next up, 1980. So we've gone to the end of the 70s and start of the very early 1980s. So start of the very early 80s. So starting up with the first one. In 1980, every increasing emissions restrictions led Pontiac to drop all of its large displacement engines. The year saw the biggest engine changes, so the biggest motor changes. So in 1980, every increasing emissions restrictions led Pontiac to drop all of its largest displacement motors. The year saw the biggest engine changes or motor changes for the Trans Am. The 4.9 liter 301 offered in 1979 as a credit option was now the standard V8. No manual was available for the Firebird in 1980, unfortunately. All received the 3-speed Turbo Hydra, the 3-speed Turbo Hydra 350 automatic. Dealer order info listed a 3-speed manual available with the 3.8 liter Buick V6. So with the 3.8 liter Buick V6 in the base model Firebird. However, none were either ordered or even built. Optional motors for the Trans Am, for both the Trans Am and Formula, included either a 4.9 liter 301 turbocharged, so a turbo V8, or if you want to go proper way, a 5 liter Chevy 305 LG4 V8, so LG4 small block V8. Says small block V8. The Chevy 305's mandatory in both Californian and high altitude high altitude emission states. In other words, it was only mandatory in the states with the highest emissions ever. So it was mandatory in Californian and high altitude emission states. There are three different iterations of the 4.9 liter 301 in 1980. The first one was the L37. So there's three different versions of the 301 motor, of the 301 V8 in 1980. The L37, the W72, ECTA 4.9, and the LU8, and the LU8 turbo. So LU8 turbo. The W72 EC301 standard for the Trans Am and optional for the Formula. However, that motor could be deleted, like could be removed on a Trans Am, and instead came equipped with the standard L37 with a credit. So it's a different version of the 301. So the L37 with a credit. The turbo turbo 301 motor used a Garrett TB305 turbo. So it used a Garrett TB305 turbo. So used a Garrett TB305 turbo attached to a single Rochester Quadrajet four barrel carburetor, and featured a hood mounted boost gauge that would light up as the Garrett TB305 turbo accumulated boost, like actually kicked in boost pressure. So accumulated boost. The hood of the 301 turbo or 301T equipped Firebirds had a large offset bulge to accommodate for the mounting position of the carburetor on the motor, so on the V8, as the turbocharger exhaust or turbo exhaust occupied a large amount of space in the engine bay. The 301T equipped cars were restricted to an automatic, not a manual, also a 3.08 rear differential ratio, and were required to have air conditioning. I mean, yeah, sure, it will cause drag, but it's also useful for pretty hot days. So you just want to stay cool with the AC. It's perfect. A memo from Pontiac to dealers in the late 80s mandated that all 301T cars must be ordered with J65 rear brake rotors. It's either that or the orders would have been rejected. However, the WS6 special handling packs never mandatory with the 301 turbo. The Redbird Esprit, on the other hand, was discontinued in 1980. And the new Yellowbird Esprit was introduced. This was the final year to feature the colored Esprit appearance packs. It featured a two-tone yellow exterior with yellow snowflake wheels, a deluxe camel tan interior, gold dash bezel, special year Firebird decals, and a formula steering wheel. The new limited edition Trans Am produced for 1980 was the new limited edition Trans Am produced for 1980 was the Y85 Turbo Trans Am pace car that was featured in the Indy 500 race series. A total of 5,700 pace cars. A total of 5,700 pace cars. Less than 6,000 pace cars were made. Standard on the Y85 included T-tops, included mirrored T-tops, a special hood, and paint decal that covered both the hood and roof. 15 by 8 inch aluminum turbo wheels, and of course the 4.9 liter 301 turbo V8. Also the WS6 handling pack, exclusive embroidered oyster hobnail, so hobnail cloth interior, special digital AM/FM ETR stereo, AM/FM ETR stereo, power windows, tungsten halogen headlight, so tungsten halogen headlights, and a leather wrapped steering wheel. and a leather wrapped steering wheel. Say steering wheel. While some of the options were standard, on the Y85 pace car, many options were still extra. Unlike the Y89 Tata, which had all possible options standard, such as power door locks, power trunk release or boot release, tilt steering column, cruise control, etc., etc. The official pace car door decals were shipped alongside the car to dealers to install as per customer request or to the dealer's liking. Sorry, I screwed up. Because the battery's gonna die soon. A 1980 turbo Trans Am Y84 special edition was featured in the movie Smokey and the Bandit 2, which I believe came out in 1979, I think, or 1980, I forgot. So it was really like the late 70s before the start of the very early 1980s. So a 1980 Turbo Trans Am Y84 Special Edition was featured in the movie was featured in the 1970s 1980s film Smokey and the Bandit 2. Which was obviously driven by, God rest his soul, rest in peace, Burt Reynolds, who played the Bandit in the Smokey and the Bandit franchise, but was fitted with nitrous oxide tanks by MMS Marvin Miller Systems to get the desired performance, especially with chases with the cops. So it's pretty useful to like get away from the 5.0. Popo one time, it's a different way of how they would say for the cops. All right. Anyways, let's not get too carried away with this. So next up, 1981, the year the DeLorean DMC-12 was released. Actually, the 81 model year became the final run for the Gen 2 Firebird. The three motor options were still standard, so unchanged for the model lineup. However, the option for a 4-speed Borg-Warner Super T10 manual was reintroduced for both the Formula and Trans Am, but was only available with the Chevy-sourced 5-liter 305 LG4 V8. The 4.9-liter 301 W72 ECV8 replaced the standard 4.9-liter 301 L37 V8. So replace the standard 4.9-liter 301 L37 V8. So the W72 code, L37 V8. So the W72 code was dropped as all 301s now featured the ESC the ESC, Electronic Spark Control System. The 301 Turbo became certified to pass both Californian and HA emissions requirements, making it the most powerful Pontiac motor to be sold in California since the mid 70s. Even with a slight power decrease from the previous year, I mean, only a little bit, but not that much. As with all other GM cars, as with all other GM cars for 1981, all V8s came equipped with the CCC computer command control system attached to the carburetor. Both the Canadian market and export Firebird models slightly varied, with the Z49 Canadian delivered Firebirds. Canadian delivered Firebirds not receiving any of the computer controlled carburetor not receiving any of the computer controlled carburetor systems. The export turbo motors received the same PEVR power enrichment vacuum regulator. Power enrichment vacuum regulator. So power enrichment vacuum rate. So power enrichment vacuum regulator set up as the previous year. Some Canadian base model Esprit and both Esprit and Formula models received the Chevy sourced 4.3 liter, presumably 267 L39 V8. I believe it's 4.3. I don't know. I think it is. Excuse me. Oh, it was close. 4.4. So it received the Chevy sourced 4.4 liter 267 L39 V8. That was close. I said 4.3, but it's 4.4. But it was a good guess. I'm not gonna lie. I'll give it that. Anyways, moving on. So both the hood decal and lettering for the 81 model year was also slightly restyled. The fender, rear wing, and lettered decals were decreased in size. All Firebirds also received an embossed silver Firebird decal on the gas tank cap attached to the rear taillights. On the special edition Trans Ams, this Firebird was gold. So it was gold. The turbo wheel, previously exclusive to the 301 turbo cars, now became available across both the Esprit and Formula line in a slightly smaller size, 15 by 7 in a slightly smaller size 15 by 7.5 inch, as opposed to the WS6 Formula / Trans Am 15 by 8 inch wheels. The interior design remained the same with options for the seat material and color combos slightly changing. The deluxe cloth hobnail material being dropped for the Pimlico PIM LICO cloth material. Millport cloth became available as an option in limited colors for the standard interior. The formula received some changes for the 81 model year, as previously in 1979 and 1980. The two-tone W50 style W50 paint was standard without the formula lettering. However, if the W50 pack if the W50 pack wasn't ordered, the formula simply appeared in the body color they were ordered in. With the smaller front fenders, not fenders, with the smaller fender decals, sorry. So with the smaller fender decals, this also prompted an increase in price for the W50 option, as the decals weren't included in the base formula pack anymore. In mid 1981, the Buick V6 3.8 liters, so the 3.8 liter Buick V6 became the standard motor in the formula. The G80, not to be confused with the M3 BMW G80, that's got nothing to do with it. So the G80 safety track. It's like saying safety, but it's safe and then the letter T and then track. Safety track. LSD differential that's previously standard for the last decade on all Trans Ams became a pay extra option. This decision was made was this decision was made by this decision was made by Pontiac. So this decision was made by Pontiac to prepare dealers for both the new ordering and pricing for the Gen 3 Firebird, where RPO G80 was no longer being included as a standard option for the Trans Am. The new limited edition Trans Am on offer was a new so the new limited edition Trans Am on offer was a new iteration of the Y85 Turbo Trans Am pace car for the Daytona 500 race series in Florida. Instead of the gray / oyster and white color scheme for the year prior, the 81 pace car featured a black and white two-tone exterior, accompanied by a deluxe black and red Recaro interior. The company that does like seats and stuff. So black and red Recaro interior, with embroidered Firebirds stitched into both the door panels and rear seats. It was the first production GM car to feature German manufactured Recaro seats, because Recaro is a German seat manufacturing company. So to feature German manufactured Recaro seats and interior as factory standard equipment. However, Pontiac had used Recaro seats in prototype vehicles such as the 78, 79 Kamaback K-type station wagon. Kamaback K-type station wagon Trans Ams, as well as many dealers and tuner companies installing Recaro seats, such as DKM in the Macho Trans Am, both that and VSE in the firearms. So in the firearms, the Y85 for 1981 was limited to a smaller amount, only 2,000 units. And like with the Y85 in 1980, many options on the car were still extra on top of the large base cost, so standard cost, or like original price. of the pace car. It came standard with a Delco digital ETR AM FM stereo with an inbuilt cassette player. How cool is that? With an option to credit this stereo for a Delco AM FM stereo with inbuilt 40 channel CB radio. Alright, so the next up we got is engines. Starting off with the first, so we got from 1970 all the way until 1981. I'm not sure how many I'll do, but I'll see how I do. Alright, starting off with the first one is 1970. So for the first one, it's got a 4.1 liter 250 Chevy L22 inline 6, which making 155 horsepower. Then we got the 5.7 liter 350 Pontiac L30 V8, made 255 horsepower, 100 more than the 4.1 liter 250 Chevy L22 inline 6. That made 155 horsepower. 5.7 liter 350 Pontiac L30 V8 made 255 horsepower. Then we got the 6.6 liter 400 Pontiac L65 V8, which made 265 horsepower, so 10 more than the previous 5.7 liter Pontiac V8. 10 more than a 5.7 liter. And we got the then we got the L78 version of the 6.6 liter V8, which makes a whopping 330 horsepower. 65 more than the original 6.6 liter. It's pretty good. 330 horsepower from a 6.6 liter Pontiac L78 400 V8. Pretty good. That's a lot. 330 horsepower is pretty good. Then we got the 6.6 liter 400. So 6.6 liter 400 Pontiac L74 V8. Known as the Ram Air 3 V8. Power output to verify between 335 to 345 horsepower. And reason being is because the one with the extra 10 horsepower is for the manuals. The automatics got 335 horsepower. The manuals got 345. Then we got another version of the same motor, but it's the LS1 from Chevy. So it's like a Chevy LS1 motor. So this time it's a Ram Air 4 with 345 horsepower for automatic. And for the manual, thankfully, 370 horsepower. That's a pretty good amount. That's a lot. Now we got... So now we got 1971 and 1972. So they both, from the same years, they both have the same exact inline 6 as 1970. So the same exact L22 Chevy inline 6. And they got the same exact Pontiac motor as 1970. But this time, power is completely different. From 1971, it made 165 horsepower. 72 made 175. Wait,